Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Towards Augmented Intelligence. Comintelli, a well-respected company with a distinguished track record spanning over 2 decades in the field of marketing competitive intelligence, is the proud host of this webinar. Leveraging their AI-powered tools, Comintelli empowers global businesses to make well-informed strategic choices and attain competitive edge. Leading the session today will be Jesper Martell, the CEO of Comintelli, and joining him today is Anders Thulin, CTO of Comintelli. We are honored to have their expertise and insight with us today. Without any more delay, I will now hand the controls over to our presenters.
Thank you, Dorian, and welcome everyone to this webinar today. Anders, I think we need to get some new pictures. We look very young here, but that's flattering for us, I think. Today we're going to be talking a lot about artificial intelligence, which is perhaps one of the hottest and most hyped topics in the last year or so. And it seems that people are either in awe of this or they fear it. It's either something that will revolutionize the world or it's something that we should be scared about. And personally, I think that the truth is probably somewhere in between. I think it's the concept has been around for a long time. We're talking about algorithms that help you deduce information and insights from large quantities of information. I think what's been happening in the last year or so is that we can do this on a scale and with a volume and speed that we haven't been able to do before. But for today, I'm joined with Anders, which is, I call him Sweden's biggest authority on artificial intelligence. And he laughs, but he knows very much about this topic, more than most people. So we're going to use the fact that Anders is here, not so much to talk about what AI is and what it's not, and why should we use it? What are the benefits? Because we're going to assume that most people here already know that. So today's session, we're going to become much more hands-on, more practical, and actually show how this can be done, specifically for market and competitive intelligence, number one. But even more specifically, how it's used in Intelligence2day, our own platform. And we will show how it's being used now as a concrete example, but also some ideas that we have for the future that we think are useful for competitive intelligence analysts. So these are the 3 main topics for today. And all of them sort of end up in what we call augmented intelligence. And we'll be coming back to this. We see it as augmented intelligence is something that can work as what we call a thinking partner for CI analysts. So this is the agenda. And I'll kick off a little bit, Anders, with some of the simpler parts, how AI has been used in market and competitive intelligence. Note that I'm using the word has here, because I think this is sort of a little bit in the past. This is a kind of classic AI uses. Things have developed a lot in the last 2-3 years. But if we look back a little bit in time, AI has been used for a long time to do classification, for example, classifying news into different topics, organizing to make it easy to find. Recommendations and predictions has been used for a long time, where AI algorithms can see and predict maybe competitor moves. If they have launched this product in the past, then they have often done this afterwards. And then you can use probabilities to calculate what the next move is. And the same with clustering. Clustering has also been used very much to, for example, go through patent databases and see what competitors are doing within a certain technical area, things like that. So these are things that have been used for a long time. I think what's new now is of course, generative AI. What we will be discussing a little bit more today. And when we are out speaking to customers and partners and we go to conferences, we often ask this question, what are you using AI for in market and competitive intelligence, of course. And we thought we'd share just a couple of use cases that we think are relevant on a more general level. Of course, information retrieval. AI can be used for that. This is sort of a bit on the classical side of things, but helping you to quickly organize and I think summarize fits in here as well. It's something that a lot of people are using it for already today. Number two is brainstorming support. I think this is interesting. This has I'd say come up in the last year or so, where you ask questions and you actually use AI to try and come up with some new ideas, or at least new connections to that will allow you to see things that you perhaps haven't been thinking about. So that's something that comes up that people mention. This is very popular as well. Trend identification. Again, helping you see patterns that aren't evident if you are manually browsing through large volumes of information. Then AI is a perfect helping tool there as well. This is perhaps one, since ChatGPT came out, this is perhaps one of the most common uses that I think analysts are using. And not just marketing people or customer support people, but to help analysts to write good weekly reports and make presentations much more efficiently than in the past, is very common. And then the last one, of course, is applying AI on competitor information and trying to understand what competitors are doing, or aggregating lots of information about competitors. So this is also classic AI. Any thoughts on these, Anders? I mean, from your technical perspective, does this make sense? This is what we've sort of gathered from being at conferences and talking to customers, but is there anything else that you would like to add to this?
I think this pretty much covers it. There are of course other applications of AI, but in general, on a big scene, this is what we're using it for.
Yeah. Good. No, again, this is these are some common things. I think there are a lot more uses, and I think people are coming up with more uses as we go, as we see what is possible to do. There will be more and more use cases. So this is a little bit where we are today. Obviously, there's a lot of challenges in using AI, not just in general, but specifically for market and competitive intelligence. And I think some of the main challenges, we've listed them here, is that it's still a tool. It's still early days, and of course, if you I mean, it all boils down to data quality here. The last points here is that if you put poor data into the system, then you get poor data out. And you get poor answers, and there has been some quite funny examples of using AI and where it actually gets facts wrong, and it sort of tends to make up things because it's so AI is sometimes so excited to give you the right answer that it provides something that is maybe not fact checked enough.
Exactly.
So I think that's something that we need to be careful about and beware that AI will do everything it can to please you, but sometimes it goes over the borderline. But then when we talk about challenges, I think a question that often comes up is how will this affect me in my role as a competitive intelligence analyst or a competitive intelligence professional? And any sort of thoughts here, Anders? I mean, we hear this question a lot: is AI going to replace humans, and should we be scared or not? And any thoughts on that? We should be scared.
Well, for those of you who are concerned about a general AI dominating the world, I must say I share those concerns just a little bit. But let me assure you that no such scenarios are imminent. So even though we have these large language models and everyone writes about the future, the current technology is simply not there. It's not within our technological capabilities. But mind that only a year ago we didn't have large language models. So the next huge leap might be closer in time than we think. It might be later. Maybe during my lifetime, I don't know, but it's not imminent anyway. And this is just a tool, and you need to know the strengths and weaknesses of your AI models. So if you're using generative AI with large language models, it's just terrible doing simple mathematics. Sometimes it's right, sometimes it's not. So the reason for this is, of course, the next likely word statistically, and that's not really suited for mathematics. But they're slowly improving this, and sometimes you actually get good answers. And only yesterday, I, out of curiosity, wanted to know how many floppy disks I needed to cover 2 terabytes of data. Surprisingly, the answers were so different in Swedish and in English, and only one of them were nearly correct.
Nearly correct.
Yeah, one of them was actually correct, but most of the times you cannot trust the answers you get. And this summer I tried to cheat a little bit doing crosswords. It doesn't work. Don't use ChatGPT for crosswords, because when you ask for a synonym with 4 letters, you get sometimes a synonym of the word, but never with the number of letters you're asking for. So you're just lucky if you get help there. But
so there are limitations in what it can do, and we need to be aware of that.
Yeah, as a human, you need to be able to judge if the results are relevant or not. Because the AI wouldn't know, and it's very convincing. So large language models are very good for improving languages, rewriting text formulations, etc. But I wouldn't trust it for facts, like you said. I would not use it for maths. There are better models for that.
But that's right now. As you said, things develop extremely quickly in this world. And I was just at a conference there a couple of weeks ago where Google's CTO was presenting. And for me, it's a bit scary when Google's CTO thinks that things are moving so quickly, even for a big player like them.
Yeah, we all think that, feel that, and no one knows where it's gonna go. But at this time, the language models are not capable of doing more than remarkable things like authoring a kid's book or writing a song, things like that. It's not versatile, and it's not like a general AI that can do many things. Slowly we're getting there with Google Assistant, with Bard, for example, will be a much more versatile tool.
But do you think the more focused it is, the better the outcome is?
Currently, the large language models are very general, but if you focus on narrowing both on content and with your queries and questions, the results are come out much better. So there are a lot of key factors here to make it a good tool. But it's definitely a good tool if you handle it and wield this tool in the right way. So even with those limitations, I said, if you use them for the right purpose, for the right model, AI is in general a fantastic tool for helping analysts and general users to create content and be more efficient.
So we don't need to be scared.
Well, not today, but we never know what's tomorrow.
I heard a nice quote recently that said that we don't need to be afraid of AI. But we should be afraid of a person, or AI won't won't be replacing our jobs, but a person using AI tools will be replacing your jobs. And I thought that was quite nice. It's you have to use it as a tool, but the tool itself will not replace it.
No, exactly. And then one person can obviously do more with a tool like that, and maybe replace another person's job because he can produce a lot more quality data.
So I think, I mean, our vision for the future, we call it augmented intelligence, and it sort of combines the power of AI with human intelligence to help you make better decisions.
I think what's important here is that we don't want to replace people, but we want to give people the tool to make them more productive and make more informed decisions. So this means that our users will work smarter, produce more, and create more analysis with these tools. But I don't think it's possible to take out the human from the process at this time. So, as I said, maybe during our lifetimes, but not anytime soon anyway. So human judgment must always be overriding the machine. It's not autonomous at any.
Can you see it? I like to see AI as I don't know what to call it, but like an intelligence enhancer or a brain enhancer. A little bit like, I mean, you're using glasses today.
Yeah, like augmentation.
But to improve your eyesight, you have this tool and it will make you see better. But AI can work the same way for our brains, maybe.
Exactly. It's going to work like a fighter pilot, for example, gets a lot of information in one plane and less information in another, and you know who's going to win.
I think that's a good analogy. Good. So that's sort of our general take on AI, and there's a lot of things that we can use to our benefit. It is a tool. I don't think it's something that we need to be scared of. I think it's something that we should embrace and use as much as we can. The more we use it, the more we learn how to use it for particular purposes as well. But now I'm a little bit curious now. This is sort of an introduction, but the main topic of today is really how does AI then power specific tools like Intelligence2day, which we're obviously going to use as an example. And again, we've been working with AI since 2016. AI is not just generative AI. There are lots of different functionalities that require AI and that can benefit from using it.
Yeah, as you said, it's very important to notice that AI is not at all generative AI. There are so many models and good ways of improving your work. Like, for example, for the simplest machine learning tasks and natural language processing, those models are quite often the foundation of other models upon those, creating more intelligence on it.
But can you say that AI, I mean, it's such a broad concept. It's almost like saying using AI is I'm using IT almost. I mean, it's
exactly.
So
I don't think it's defined yet. I mean, it's
so
up to the person saying what AI is, what he means with it. But the last year, it's mostly large language models. But I want to say it's not. So we have like we said before, entity recognition and sentiment analysis, where we classify data. We have different flavors of AI and machine learning for a long time now. But the last year we've been working hard with the LLMs or large language models, and that's why all the new things are happening currently. So it's going to be exciting to show some of these.
No, it's fascinating actually what can be done. So we're excited about that, to see some examples of some AI-powered features that we already have in Intelligence2day, but it may be even more some of the things that we are planning. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, exactly. In this slide, it's only giving you the simplest models like machine learning we use for clustering results, presenting themes. We have had this for many years now. It's widely used and appreciated among our users. Finding thematic groups within the content would enable you to find new trends in your data set. And it's very efficient. So don't forget, it's a good tool still based on the foundations of AI, which is machine learning.
So don't forget classic AI.
No, and then the other end, we launched Key Takeaways, which is a large language model-based feature for summarizing documents. But we have more in the pipeline that we want to show and talk to you about today.
Great. So I mean, we're obviously curious about this, and we've been working with natural language search and a few other technologies. Do you think we could actually convince you to show a few things that we've been working on?
Well, of course.
In your little magic box. Let's see if we can switch over, and Anders will jump into a live demo of Intelligence2day to show you.
Yes. So I know obviously I'm gonna have these questions. I prepared a little bit, and I'm gonna show you 4 use cases when we make use of generative AI. The first slide here is it's just the report I'm compiling out of the content we have within the system. I can drag and drop articles within here. And it might be quite a few articles, but then I need help to write a summary out of it. And this feature lets you do that as a short bullet list, as a short paragraph, or as a long paragraph. Really simple and accessible. So this is actually live. It takes some seconds to produce this summary. And it goes through the articles and well, makes a short summary out of them. You can edit and change the results if you're not happy with it. That's a quite nice feature, and it's possible to do this with any content within the system. Here, for example, I have just a search results list, and if I want to summarize articles here, short summary for this article, it's being added to the article. If you read on the article, you will have the AI summarization of it here. We still keep the summary, written summary of the article and the body, obviously. I think we launched it. So it's available in the product. What I'm going to show you now are some prototypes that we are working very hard with to realize as features. And for example, one of them is natural language search. I prepared this page, but it's also live. I'm writing a natural language sentence here. And this gets translated to an old traditional Boolean search, actually, running in the background, presenting the results. But not only that, the results are then analyzed by the AI and finding common themes in the content and giving you a summary of the results, basically. So you will know what to expect if you read the details down below. We're also working on a publishing assistant, where you can get help in publishing content in different ways. When you're writing a lot of content, you might want it to be spell checked or translated. You can extract data. You can ask questions and have it as a part of the document. For example, if you're writing about whatever in Germany, you might want to ask what's the capital of Germany or whatever, really. And you can do this many times and sort of add on content to your writing along the way.
I think this is fascinating as a tool for analysts, and these, I assume, are just some examples. But here it's really becoming like your own, as you say, a personal assistant that helps you analyze content. Maybe takes you 80% of the way, and then you have to use your human judgment for the last 20%.
Yeah, exactly.
But I think this is fascinating.
And you can use it for templates. Help me write. You can write different kind of documents like reports, blog posts, or whatever, and you get help with the language matching that kind of document.
But you see, I mean, these examples that you're showing here are very much based on improving the language. Can you see also AI helping you, for example, identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities in this text versus our competitor?
I think that would be possible, but not as reliable. I think it's better to handle text than facts. Yeah. What we've been quite successful with is extracting data and compare data in the text. In this case, we have extract data here. We have a comparison between two cars.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. It goes through, it's quite a lot of text, and it will add later on here down below a table of comparison.
Yeah.
This takes unusually long time. You never know with demos. Sometimes it doesn't play well. But the end result, here it is, a little bit longer time, comparing Tesla's Model Y and Model 3 in different aspects.
Yeah.
And it took some time because there are quite many numbers here to compare.
But this is something it does from just large amounts of text, and then it puts it in this much more analyzed form.
Yeah, that's one way of using it for visualizing your unstructured text, for example.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of really interesting features you can develop upon these technologies right now.
Cool. Well, thank you so much, Anders. I know this was just a little teaser, a little preview of some things that are, some of them are available and some are things that we are still working on. Future potential things that, I mean, now you've been researching some of these applications, but besides what we've just seen now, we've seen automatic summaries, natural language search, this sort of AI assistant. Is there any other sort of future potential that you see?
Yes, but I think most of the potential is what we already identified, but maybe refine it much more and make it more usable and combine different models to create even better results.
Yeah.
And that's going to be happening the next year or so.
Yeah.
I think that, like we said, saw here for data visualization, we have had a table with a comparison matrix.
Yeah.
It's going to be possible to create graphs out of the data as well, eventually.
That's very cool.
Yeah, and the last one here, automated content creation, it's kind of faceted because currently internet is being polluted by auto-generated content by AIs, but this is not our vision. I think instead you can use it for combine reports and alerts based on your content. It might be a very helpful tool. Instead of just creating nonsense content for no one, you can create quality content out of what you're having. Yeah.
Great, and obviously, I mean, we will not just we, but everyone, I think, is researching into this. So any feedback that you might have, we're happy to discuss this in terms of applications. There's so many things that you can do with AI, and sometimes it's hard to be creative and make sure that what we are developing is actually something that will save time and help analysts as well. So if we start concluding a little bit here, start wrapping things up, we will again save some time for questions at the end. So if you have any questions, please make sure to enter them into the chat box, and we'd be happy to try and answer them. But I think, I mean, my key takeaways from this is that obviously AI is a very powerful tool, emphasizing the word tool again. That can be used in a number of ways. We are researching it and using AI in a variety of ways, as Anders has been showing. But there's lots more potential as well for users. But I think one thing worth noting, because I think a lot of people, at least when we speak to people, their usage and the way that they've understood AI is very much based on ChatGPT and Bard, and that's where they have their experience. But I would say that being a consumer on the internet is something completely different to being a professional user within an enterprise. Or would you agree?
I agree. As a user on the internet, you would encounter many different kinds of AI models. For example, Facebook have a few. They're behind the Llama model. Very interesting. But for professional usage, I think Google and OpenAI, Microsoft will be the natural choice at this time.
Yeah. And also, I mean, I think if you're a consumer on the internet, I think your questions are things like, I don't know, how do I book a 3-day trip to Argentina, to Patagonia, or help me create a nice Valentine's poem for my girlfriend or boyfriend? Those are typical questions. But I think when we are in enterprises, questions that are asked is much more, how do you handle our intellectual property, and how do you make sure that that our data is being kept confidential, things like that, are questions that are much more asked.
Yeah, and it's important to select a model and having an agreement with the provider, so you can make sure the data is yours,
Yeah.
and you're not giving it away basically to the model to learn more.
Yeah. Good. This was again a quick taste of some things. There's much more. We have a whole white paper called Towards Augmented Intelligence that you can download here, where we provide more examples and more details into this. But hopefully what you've seen is more practical, and this is sort of where we are right now. But there's a lot of potential going into the future as well. So with that, we will leave some time for questions, if there are any questions. I have a question for you, Anders, just spinning on what we were just talking about, data security and data privacy. What's your sort of viewpoint on that? I think that when we were recently at Semicon in Berlin, I held a quick workshop on this, and I asked people, what are your biggest concerns and challenges? And data security was very high on the list.
Yeah, this should be maybe on the top of the list. When you're using these models online with a web browser, you must know that everything you put into the model will be used for continuous improvement and learning.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the principles behind it. It's free, so you're expected to contribute with something.
Yeah.
But when you're building applications, you must have an agreement. You must use the APIs and different ways to maintain that the data is not leaking.
Yeah.
And it's happened. Everyone knows about the Samsung problem where their source code leaked out in an AI model because they've been using these open public pages.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have. They should have used closed pages instead.
Yeah.
So it needs consideration, and if you train on your own data, you should make sure that it stays your own with agreements and with technology, and all the pieces are there to make this offering with secure and private, basically. But you need to know about pitfalls and the caveats.
And what I don't know if we mentioned that, but what LLM models are we using?
Yeah, you know that we're using many models.
Yeah, I know.
And mainly what you're seeing today is OpenAI, but we're using Google and TextRacer as providers as well for data classification and other advanced deep learning algorithms. I don't think we should, or anyone should, stick to one provider because they're offering different things. Basically.
Yeah. But do you see people developing their own models or sort of custom models, and sort of what about one company we want to have our own model, and what's your thought on that?
That happens everywhere. I think they're doomed to fail in the long run because you need so much data. And you need a lot of energy to run these AI models. So large companies are too small to host these. I think the natural way forward would be to use the large language models from one of the bigger providers like Google or OpenAI, training with your own data as a sidecar to that. So you get your content sort of included in the general large model. You will have your information included. So that's an interesting path forward. In the end, there might be only a couple of real AI providers in the world, even.
And they will rule the world.
Because they're so much better, basically, than the other attempts. But we're not sure who's going to be the winner here. Maybe it's at least a couple, at least.
Yeah. No, maybe that's the scary part, is that we don't know who will have the dominating models. Thank you, Anders. Dorian, I think there are quite a number of questions rolling in.
Yes, exactly. So the first one we have you observed the use of AI in cross-connecting analysis, for example, discovering connections between patent filing and job postings? Do you think AI will increasingly become hyper-specific in discovering insights within such alternate data sources for M&CI?
I think that's an interesting topic, and yes, it will happen. I think that's a combination of different models to combine an overview of what you need. Definitely, yeah, but not within our system, because we're not managing the job postings really. But I think it's definitely one of the applications you might have in the near future, or even if they're available now.
Great, thank you.
Perfect. And the next question is it also possible to change the AI summary to more details or to explain it in a more easy / understandable way?
Yes, you saw at the end the publishing assistant. That one has the capability to reformulate the text to more. Usually, it's much more clear than original text. The AI is very good in making things clear and concise in its concepts. I think we can take that further to analyze the text and not only get the summary, but get sort of concepts in the article report that are important. Yeah, I think that's possible. It's interesting.
Yeah, everything that I would say that is based on language, improving the language, AI must be really good at.
Yeah, but then you need to know that there are different strengths between the AI models. Like Google Bard is very good in translating text, when ChatGPT is maybe okay doing that. Yeah. So depending on what the models you're using, you'll get very different results.
Great, thank you, Anders.
Perfect. Next question. If I understand well, this AI will gather news for you and you can summarize them after.
That's correct.
Yeah. Simple answer.
Yes, perfect. Short and sweet.
Yes.
Next one would be, do you see AI being monetized in M&CI, or will this become a must-have / given feature which clients will expect as a minimum requirement?
Yeah, no, that's something that we've been debating here at Comintelli as well. I think personally that some features of AI, and again, AI is so broad, there's so much in AI, but some features will become must-haves, especially like natural language search. That will be the way people expect to search, and language translations and things like that. But then I think there are certain more analytical features. If you have a personal intelligence analyst helper, that is more geared and more focused on a certain area, I think that is something that people will be willing to pay extra for. Yeah. So I'd say both. Some things will be considered must-haves, but some things people will be willing to pay as an add-on.
Awesome. Next question is, what is the reason why some companies are quite concerned about their vendors using AI? Clauses are being added to vendor contracts.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Steve. I think this is something that, again, has to do with data security. We get this sometimes. People are concerned that data is being sent out of the organization, right, Anders?
I think that's the main one, but also that since the AI usually is very trustworthy in how it serves the information to you, it's quite often misleading. And if you don't know if you are not able to check this yourself, you can get totally wrong conclusions out of your data, because that's how they work. It sounds trustworthy.
Yeah.
So they need to know that the users or receivers of this data have the capability to judge if it's a reasonable answer or not.
Yeah.
Thank you. This is not a question, but a comment. Your generative AI assistant's drop-down menu is excellent. Compliments to the product team. Cheers.
We appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Jesper and Anders, for the insightful presentation. A heartfelt thanks to all of our participants for joining us today. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to us using the email address provided on the screen. We look forward to the chance to reconnect with you in the near future.